Hey guys, welcome back to Revealing Biblical Truths. In this video, we will be going through the book of Joshua, chapters 1 through 6. Before we get started, go ahead and like the video, subscribe, share, and comment below, or this centipede will crawl on your face when you're sleeping. At the beginning of Joshua 1, Yah tells Joshua that he will be the one to take Yasharel into the Promised Land, and it will be from Lebanon unto the river Euphrates, and all the way down to the coast of the Mediterranean Sea. One thing I want to explore here is the name Joshua. In the first verse, the Hebrew name given is Strong's number 3091 and has 5 letters: Yod, He, Wah, Shin, and Ayin. If this seems familiar, it is. The correct pronunciation is Yahusha. It is the same as the Yahusha the Messiah. Remember back in the book of Numbers that before his name was changed, he was known as Husha. The name Hosea is also the same as Husha. Putting the Yod in front of the name makes the meaning Yah is salvation. So from now on, I will refer to Joshua in this series as Yahusha. Continuing, Yahusha commanded the people, telling them to prepare their food, because in 3 days they would cross the Jordan River to begin taking the land of Canaan. He then told the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh to leave their wives, children, and cattle behind, and help them fight, and then they could go back to the land they chose to live in on the east side of the Jordan. They all said they would follow Yahusha's command, and anyone who rebelled will be put to death. In chapter 2, Yahusha sends out 2 spies into Jericho to search out the land. They came to a harlot's house named Rahab, and found the king out and went out to her house to find them, but she hid them. She told the king they came but didn't know where they were. So they went out and pursued them and shut the city gate. Meanwhile, Rahab went up to the attic where she hid them, and she says she knows that Yahuwah was with them, and that they would take the land, so she pleaded with them to save her family, and if she hid the fact that they were there. They agreed, so she let them down with a rope, and said to go to the mountains for 3 days, until the king's men returned. And then they told her to put on a scarlet thread in her window, so that they'd know it was her house, and they would pass over her house. So they did that, and they were able to escape back to Yahusha. I find it very interesting that this theme of the scarlet or red thread is a symbol of the Passover, as well as the 3 days that Yahusha HaMashiach was in the grave. The scarlet represents the blood of the Lamb, in both instances, to save the people's lives. In chapter 3, Yahusha tells the people to prepare to cross the Jordan River. He says, "Watch the priests as they carry the Ark of the Covenant, and stay back 2,000 cubits, and follow them, so you know which way to go." He then told the priests to carry the Ark, and when they got to the river and put their feet in, to stand there, and the river stopped flowing, and the dry ground appeared, and the Israelites crossed over the river to the other side on dry ground. It is interesting to note that the word Eber, from which we derive Hebrew, means to cross over. In chapter 4, after they had all crossed over the river, Yah spoke to Yahusha and told him to take 12 men, 1 from every tribe, and to get 1 stone from the river each. They were to take it with them and put it in their tents when they slept, and they were to be kept as a memorial of the crossing of the river, beginning to take the Promised Land. The total number of people going to war was about 40,000. After everyone had crossed over, Yah told Yahusha to tell the priests to come out of the water, and as soon as they were out of the river, the water went back into place as it was before. It then says they came to the Jordan River and crossed it on the 10th day of the first month. This was also the day that they were supposed to pick out the lamb for the Passover sacrifice, and the day that Yahusha the Messiah rode into Jerusalem on a donkey. In chapter 5, Yah commanded the people to circumcise their children, since it hadn't really been done since they came out of Egypt, and that only Yahusha and Caleb remained of that generation. After they were done circumcising the men, they stayed in their houses until they were all healed up. Then on the 14th day of the month, they kept the Passover in the plains of Jericho. Then on the next day they ate unleavened corn cakes, and also the manna dried up that they had been eating, because now they were eating the fruit of the Promised Land. When Yahusha came close to Jericho, he saw a man standing across from him with a sword drawn. So Yahusha asked which side he was on, but the man said he was the captain of Yahuwah's host, and to take off his sandals because he was standing on holy ground. This is very interesting and makes me wonder who this character is. I'm going to give you my opinion on who this was based on scripture. The man describes himself as the captain of Yahuwah's hosts. In the Hebrew, this is Sar Seva Yahuwah. We have seen many times in scripture a title for Yah, which is Yahuwah Sevaot, which means the Lord of hosts, or Yahuwah of hosts. The word Sar should be more accurately translated as prince, not commander or captain. So he was prince of Yahuwah's host. Who else is described as a prince but Yahusha the Messiah? Next, we see that Yahusha fell on his face and worshipped the man. The word used here is Strong's H7812, shachah, which means to bow down, pay homage, prostrate, or worship. We know from other scripture that any time a man bows down to an angel, the angel would correct him and says to worship Yah only. But this man did not do that, which also leads us to a form of Yahuwah on the earth, possibly a pre-incarnate Yahusha. Lastly, we see a man tell Yahusha to take off his sandals because the ground around him was holy. Another example of this is when Moshe was at the burning bush on Mount Horeb, when Yah talked to him from the bush and told him to remove his sandals. And this is now 3 witnesses to support the idea that this was either Yah in human form or Yahusha, which of course is Yah anyways. In chapter 6, Yah tells Yahusha to encompass the city with all the men and circle it once each day for 6 days, and 7 priests will go in front of the ark with 7 shofars, and on the 7th day to walk around the city 7 times and blow the shofars. Then when they make the shofar blast, the people will hear it and also shout loudly, and the walls will fall down, allowing them to go up to the city and take it. He said then to destroy all those who were there because they were cursed, except for Rahab who helped them. And also they could take all the silver and gold and vessels of brass and iron to keep for the treasury. So they did as they were told, and they took the city, and destroyed every living thing except Rahab and her family, which they found and took outside the city. He then said for no one to go back in and build the city back up, because it was cursed. And after that, Yahusha's fame was spread all throughout the country because of Yah being with him, and the miracle of taking the city. It is interesting that the 7 days of them marching around the city and taking it occurred during the Feast of Unleavened Bread. That is the end of this video. Thanks for watching, and until next time, Shalom.